Welcome to another Saturday night and taking it to the nub. I'm your host, Boston Jimmie. It's my co-host, Quinton Brown. And today we have a amazing show. This show tonight, you know what we got on, Q? We got Dave, the cigar life guy. Right? Now he's just not a cigar enthusiast and aficionado, but he's also the guy that's going to tell us how we can get life insurance at normal rates. And that sounds like a simple talk, should be done in about 15 minutes. But no, Dave is dynamic, and we are going to have a blast with him. So let me bring Dave in.
All right.
How's your day?
Well, that was one heck of an intro. And gosh, all we were going to talk about was life insurance. It'd actually be about a 3-minute show. That stuff's really easy. So yeah, hopefully I'm as dynamic as you build me, and we can have a great hour.
Well, we can always talk about some of our adventures in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
So, how's your day going today?
It's as we talked about a couple minutes ago. It's cold as can be everywhere, and people are freaking out because we've got 2 more days of winter here or whatever. But I'm going through with a few cigars, and I'm hanging out.
I got echo coming in. I think that.
Are we good?
I am. Somebody had a double phone on, or maybe. So make sure you don't have the show playing. Okay, let's do it again. So yes, it's cold all over.
Yeah, it's cold all over, and I'm hanging out here at Life and Times Cigar Lounge in Lithonia, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta, and making the best of the cold.
Very good. What are you smoking tonight?
This is a sarsaparilla from Espinosa.
Nice.
So this is my first time trying it. Just lit it up a few minutes ago before we went live here. So off the rip, it's full of flavor.
Awesome. I got an HVC hotcakes that I picked up at special deal at the Great Smoke the other week. Great smoke. Great deal at the Great Smoke. And Q, what are you doing?
I'm smoking a UC10 by one of our great sponsors of the show over at Drew Estate. So shout out to the whole fam over there. They always take good care of us. So
awesome. Anybody pairing it with anything? Because I know I have enough points left over from tonight's dinner to have a little red wine. So I
have a chocolate almond milk shaken espresso from Starbucks that I'm pairing this with.
We got a Coke Zero here.
All right. I guess I'm in the outside world. So Dave,
I didn't have any points left, Jimmy.
Yeah, well, I make sure I have some points. I'm allowed to get like a glass of wine once in a while, and I used to go through a whole bottle in a day, from 5 o'clock to 11:30 at night. Now I go through a whole bottle. It takes me like a week, which is good.
Yeah.
So does that help me with life insurance that I've reduced my alcohol intake? But that doesn't matter.
No, you're pretty good as far as life insurance goes. I mean, they don't want somebody that's got an alcohol problem. But light social drinkers, the fact that you have a couple drinks even daily is not the end of the world. What you don't get is bonus points for abstaining from alcohol. So you don't get better rates just because you don't have a glass of wine here or there. But somebody that moderate alcohol use is not a problem with getting life insurance.
Okay, so here I am. I'm going on towards 63. I smoke cigars. What can you do for me?
What we can do is we can get you life insurance at exactly the same rates as somebody that is in similar health that doesn't smoke cigars every day. You know, the difference between that and basically getting smoker rates is like a 3-to-1 difference. So somebody your age, and I'm ballparking this stuff, and, you know, and obviously, you know, how much you get and your health and all that, you know, is going to drive what the actual cost is. But it's the difference between maybe $150 a month and $500 a month for somebody in their 60s. You know, a 50-year-old can get a $250,000 policy for under $50 a month. If they were going with, it's really affordable. Somebody though, you know, that has to check that smoker box, that same 50-year-old looking at paying 140 something a month. And that's the crux of the proposition that I have is we get you life insurance at the same price that you would pay if you didn't smoke the cigars. You don't have to, you have to acknowledge your cigar use when you go through the application process, but they fully expect that they're going to find nicotine in your system if they do an exam, and they're still going to give you non-tobacco rates, and you get those great prices, you know, $50 instead of $140. And for a lot of folks, you know, it's the difference between having to kind of get into that ugly moral ambiguity, you know, area where, you know, good folks lie. We give you a way that you don't have to lie. We also give you a way that you can get the amount that you think you need. You know, if life insurance is going to cost you a car note, all of a sudden, you know, you think twice about it. But, you know, when it's closer to a cell phone bill, it's something that you feel much more comfortable taking on. You can give your family that peace of mind that they're covered and they're taken care of.
Now, what type of life insurance is this? Is it term? Is it whole?
Whatever you want. We have term insurance. We've got permanent insurance. And this is all with top A+ carriers. You know, you've probably heard the names of the companies, but it's their regular products. The thing is, we put you with great companies that treat you well. There are about 1,000 life insurance companies in the United States, plus minus. What we do is I put you with 3, 4, 5 of them that are going to see cigars as different than cigarettes, or regular cigar users, not the guy that smokes one on a golf course every blue moon, but like guys like us that smoke every day that'll treat you differently than cigarette users. And you get their best stuff. It's not subpar kind of products where, you know, they upcharge you here so that they can make it up on the back end, you know, whatever. You know, it's their regular stuff, just at good prices, the same prices that they would charge non-smokers.
So let me just share this for everybody. So this is Dave's website, cigarlifeguy.com. All right. You can contact me at 888-80-cigar. I like that. You got yourself a good number there. Cigar Life Guy at cigarlifeguy.com if you want to email him. And he's got everything in here you want to know. You want to put in rates. If I put something in here, Dave, does it come back and give me something quick, or is it going to ask me a whole bunch more?
Yeah, what's going to happen is you're going to get a quick and dirty rate. You know, so you'll have a ballpark idea what it's going to run you. And you'll input your contact information there, and you'll get a phone call from us. And, you know, what happens next is it's a 3 to 5 minute phone conversation where we go through your health, your situation, your objectives, make sure that we are getting you the right product. If it makes sense, and we give you some rates that are going to be a little bit better than the rates that you get off the website. And if it's something that you want to move forward with, we start the application process. But the whole thing is a very quick process. You know, it's not some guy coming over to your house at dinner time that's going to, you know, give you a PowerPoint presentation that's going to take an hour. And, you know, it's really pretty simple. Most of us understand what life insurance is and how it works. You know, if you don't, and it's something that's new to you, I'm happy to take the time and go through how the product works. And
so, Dave, if I push
you know,
this
and
button,
make sure.
If I push, I'm sorry, but if I push this button right now, what's the difference between, what's the health class definition?
The health class is basically, you know, for our cigar smokers, you want to check like regular plus. You know, they're not going to give cigar smokers preferred plus rates if you're a daily smoker. You know, but and you want to check the no box on tobacco. The no box on tobacco.
When I do this, it's going to give me numbers. So there you go. So these are the numbers for me going in my just past my 62nd birthday. And I can get rates for $500,000 for a 10-year term. You're giving me some amazing rates here of like $240.
Couple $100. Yeah.
A couple $100 for that. Wow. And I can go higher than, I can go 25-year term. Does that really?
Yeah, it may not work for your age, whatever. Yeah, but you know, if you were younger, yeah, you see your options. Yeah.
Okay.
So let me ask you a quick question. Let me cut in real quick. So
yeah,
you mentioned if you have somebody who is the occasional golf course smoker, right? So obviously the person who lights up a cigar whenever they're out on the golf course, that's one type of smoker. But then maybe you've got a smoker who maybe lights up 2-3 times a week. Would that still be considered someone who would be considered a daily average smoker?
Yeah.
If you're a 2 to 3 time a week guy.
Yeah, somebody that's smoking a couple times a week is a regular smoker. I mean that's it, and they still get regular non-tobacco rates. What they're not going to qualify for is, you know, basically like those Olympic athlete kind of rates, or what, you know, like the preferred best or preferred plus. Somebody that truly smokes, you know, like on the golf course, 12 a year, that person can still get, you know, acknowledge the cigar use and still get, you know, preferred or preferred best type rates. But somebody that smokes weekly, you know, that's a regular cigar smoker. That's going to be somebody that, you know, you still get non-tobacco rates. You're just not going to get those preferred or preferred best kind of rates. But
what
you know,
about
again,
someone who is? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was going to say, so, you know, you might not get the, you know, going back to my $50 example, you're not, you know, somebody that just smoked, you know, say 6 or 12 cigars a year, they might be able to get that same policy for $40 a month, but you're not paying $140 a month, which is what a smoker rate would run you.
What about someone who is in like peak top shape? Because I know a lot of my friends who are in great shape. Somebody who is, you know, fit, they work out 3, 4, 5 times a week. You know, they probably could trash me in the mile, but they enjoy a cigar every now and then. Would they qualify for your top tier premium rates, or is the cigar use the common denominator across the board that kind of takes you down that tier?
Yeah, if you're a regular smoker, and for our purposes, let's just define that as the couple a week. Those people, the best you're going to get is like a standard or just better than standard. You're not going to get preferred or preferred plus. You know, and so, and again, that's the difference between, say, you know, being asked to pay $50 a month instead of $40 a month. You know, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that elite rate, but you're still going to get a darn good rate. You know, so you know, those folks, yeah, you know, such is life. They're, you know, I think in the long run, you're still better off, you know, being honest about things, doing it the right way, feeling comfortable that they're actually going to pay a claim if you die, and just taking your standard non-tobacco rates.
So I have a question from Brian Lewis, one of our followers here. He says, why would you say you smoke if it costs more? Just, I guess, in general on life insurance.
So in general, the reason, one is, you know, I mean, you know, without getting into a big moral or ethical kind of deal, I mean, part of it is like lying's bad, right? You know, but ignoring that, and it's funny, I have clients that own cigar companies. You know, I have people that I interact with that own cigar companies, own cigar lounges, and they'll say, hey, I'm good. You know, I got non-tobacco rates, you know, because I kind of didn't tell them about that. Well, and there are ways that you can kind of get around things if you want to play games, and be fast and loose with the truth. Stop smoking for a couple of weeks, so that you can pass a urine test, etc. But here's the thing: you might win on the front end. On the back end, they're going to take a really good look at you before they actually cut that $500,000 or $1 million check to your spouse or whoever you've got set up to get the money. So you want to tell the truth so that you don't have problems with claims with your policy. That's the very practical reason for being upfront about your cigar use instead of playing games. And let's face it. I mean, I think you're streaming this thing on your Facebook channel, right, Jimmie? I mean,
sure.
Everybody's on social media these days. I would wager that the gentleman asking the question probably has got pictures of himself on his Facebook with a cigar in his hand, and probably not just 6 times a year. So, we create an electronic trail that we didn't create years and years ago. You want to be consistent in things. And for the little bit difference between getting like ultra preferred rates and, regular non-tobacco rates, at least in my view, it's not worth the risk to try to play the games. And that's why it makes sense to be upfront and tell the truth about your nicotine use.
But
and still get the non-tobacco rates.
But when you start during this process, you put in check the non-tobacco just so you could see what it is. But the actual application for the insurance is going to
when you do the actual
cigars?
Yeah, when you do the actual application for insurance, you basically, a lot of times they do a phone interview with you, and that's when they go through your entire health history. And you want to say, yes, I smoke cigars daily, and then back that up with, that is the only form of nicotine that I use. But yes, you do definitely want to declare the use on the application, and then it's right there in black and white as part of the application, and you're not going to have claims issues as a result on the back end.
Okay, because then they've underwritten you based on that interview.
Exactly. It's no different. This is no different from an insurance perspective. It's no different than being a pilot, for example. You got a pilot license, you do some piloting, whatever. You can still get insurance as a private pilot, but you got to tell us about it on the front end. What you can't do is totally omit it and then sneak it through, and then hope things work out. And on the back end, you might have some claims issues if you're a private pilot and you've been flying all over the place, but you didn't tell us.
And then push comes to shove, you die in a plane wreck, and now you're wondering why they're not paying out your $500,000 claim.
Exactly. They'd still pay the claim if you told us on the front end that you were a pilot, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. So, to be clear, nicotine is just one of many things that an insurance company looks at when they're evaluating your overall risk for life insurance. That's what they're doing. They want to assess the risk of you dying so that they can price the product fairly. So they want to know things about you, like your criminal history, your financial history. They want to know about your health history. They want to know about your nicotine use. And this is just one element of what they look at in the overall risk period. And you want to be upfront and honest about all of it in the process.
I think I ran into you for the first time. I want to say, was it Atlanta Cigar Week? Maybe 2 years ago was the first time me and you bumped shoulders.
Yeah, I think it was. September of first COVID year, 2020.
Yeah.
That sound about right? Yeah.
Yes.
You were so excited you were out of the house. Yeah.
So here's the one thing that I remember, and one of the reasons why we hit it off right away was you have the most amazing swag that you give out to your potential clients and just people that you see about, and I love that about you, because there's so many people that are that are a little bit funny about their business. They want you to invest in them, but they don't invest in you. And that's the one thing that I loved about you right off the bat, was the fact that you were like, you know what? here you go. Here's a hat. Cigar Life guy, remember? And it made it easy to remember.
I appreciate you saying that. I like to think that, Jonathan Drew and I are kind of like, battling it out for number one, number two. Sometimes we go back and forth, some people like him a little better than me. He's got a little bit bigger budget, but I do think, I do think I definitely, outpunched my weight class as far as the swag game. And I appreciate you saying that. But, the way I look at it is, I'm doing an event. Everybody there is trying to get in your pocket for something. I want to be that one guy that's going to give you something and not want a dime from you. And I think, when I do events, one of the things that I think the hosts or the promotional folks, the folks running the thing, like about me coming by is that everybody leaves with something for free. And whether they want insurance, non-insurance, know what I do, have any idea that Cigar Life Guy has anything to do with insurance, we have a lot of fun with it, and we have a lot of fun at the events. But, in my view, it's great advertising. You wear my stuff and you're sharing my brand, and that makes me happy. So
I love it.
I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
And you do have cool swag. I was just showing this, besides the shirt I'm wearing, this really cool. What is this? What do you call this thing? I don't know what they call these anymore.
That would be a thermos for us young guys, Jimmy. I don't know what you.
Yeah, no, yeah. I don't know. There's a special name for it. Anyway,
something you drink out of, right?
Well, what's good about that, you can put hot or cold beverages in that.
Yes.
If I remember correctly.
You guys, once you're over 60, Jimmy, you guys call it weird shit.
I don't know what to call things anymore because they change names. It's like my baseball game, right? They keep changing rules as you get older.
We got baseball back.
So we'll get to that. But let me ask you this question, Dave.
Yes.
I've seen you at many events. All right. I show up somewhere and Dave, the Cigar Life guy, he's there in the booth. He's in Tampa, he's in Miami, he's in Atlanta, how many events do you do a year?
So I do about 6 to 8 what I call major events or multi-day events, and try to get across the country. But it really isn't as much as it probably feels like. You get around too, Jimmy. So maybe that's why we keep running into each other, I guess. But I purposely I don't want to be on the road every week. I'm not doing a large event until May, for example. So I saw you a couple times in Florida or whatever. I won't travel again until May.
All right. What's like the biggest event you've done?
Gosh, I mean, I got to give some love to Cigar Mike and the Atlanta Cigar Experience. That was the first large event that I did. Still the best response that I got, and probably it was because I was new to everybody, and a lot of people were like, "Oh my gosh, this just makes so much sense! Like, I need this stuff." That was great, love Cigar Mike and everything he does. I did Houston last year, and Houston Cigar Week with Seraphin and Crystal Grant, Kevin Watkins, Mr. Soto, West Side Smokers, that whole crew. They did a phenomenal job. They did their first one last year, and it may be one of the largest events that I did as far as number of people through. And they did a fantastic job. I'm going to be back out there as a title sponsor in May. But those are two of the favorite ones that I've done. I mean, obviously like largest, I mean, like I guess, Tampa, I mean, they bill themselves as the largest event, Cigar Heritage Festival. So, I mean, I guess that's the largest one I've done.
What's your average pull through on an event? I mean, a big event like that, like Cigar Mike event, the Houston event, with all the people there, how many policies come out of it?
A good event for me is high single digits. I mean, it really, just the way the math works on all this stuff. to be real about it, I don't need to be, getting 100 people signing up for life insurance to make it a good use of my time. And I get a lot of what I'll call brand building benefit from doing those large events. More people know me and, think of me or refer people on down the road, where it's tough to, link something directly back to that event, but there's definitely a win doing a large event as far as, somebody just thinking about you, down the road. But, just the way the math works on this stuff, I mean, I don't need to do hundreds of people signing up for insurance to make it a win. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to. Trust me, we'll have a big old party, guys. Yeah.
I want to go back to a Brian Lewis comment before. He's kind of chimed in for a while. I think he's going to be going to do something, but he says, inhaling is smoking, puffing is what we do with cigars. Without
hold
on, let me finish his comment. His comment, so then you can then comment on this, because I'd like to get your view. Inhaling is smoking, puffing is what you do with cigars. Without the ammonia, the nicotine doesn't absorb like it does from cigarettes. Plus, Dr. Gabby Caffey says, tomatoes have nicotine in it. I puff cigars, I don't smoke. So if I eat a lot of tomatoes, do I have nicotine in my system?
So is he through?
Yeah.
Is that the extent of it? Okay. Yeah. So first of all, I am not going to comment on tomato use and how people should be underwritten for life insurance. I'll just say I've never heard anybody have problems with tomatoes and getting approved for life insurance. With that said, we use a lot of these terms like smoking in the shorthand. And the actual question the way it's typically used is on a life insurance application, as you might imagine, because it's written by lawyers, right, is a lot more precise. And it says something like, have you ever used tobacco products such as, and list them. Okay. So, it doesn't leave it up to your interpretation as to what the smoking is or, how that should be treated. So, I mean, that's I guess the most direct response to Brian's question. It's a fair point, but they word it the way that they word it so that people aren't making their own interpretation of, what's right or what's wrong. So going back to, you started this with, drinking and what's drinking going to do to life insurance. They don't say, are you a problem drinker, right? They say, how many alcoholic beverages do you consume on a weekly basis? They're looking for a data point, as opposed to letting you be ambiguous about, no, I don't have a problem, right? So that's the way I would respond to Brian's question. But I build on that a little bit by saying, here's what I think is interesting. And after I finish saying this, I'm going to segue into some of what I think is a little bit timely if you want to go there, or we can hold this. But, all of this stuff about FDA regulations and the new study that came out this week and the light of it is, what you've got is, first of all, remember, they're not giving you the athlete rates, but these 3 or 4 companies that I work with, they're still giving you non-tobacco rates, even though you acknowledge the use of cigars. These companies are in effect saying, yes, there is a difference between cigar use and cigarette use for many of the reasons that Brian laid out in his question/comments. Manner of use matters. Composition of the product matters. The fact that they all have tobacco leaf in them is the one similarity, but manner of use definitely matters. Inhalation or lack of inhalation matters. And these very smart companies, the ones that I work with that bet big dollars, millions of dollars at a rip on their underwriting, agree with Brian. There is a difference between cigars and cigarettes. And that's what my whole business is built around. if we can get past this whole, do you qualify for the absolute best rates or just really good rates? You know, I'd say my companies are right there with you, Brian. Does that make sense, guys?
Absolutely.
Hey, and you thought I was going to ask the hard questions, Dave. Damn, you see that?
Let me
Yeah, Brian's taking care of you.
let me take a quick break here to shout out the sponsors of the show. And then when we come back, we could dig a little more into your life, Mr. Cigar Life, with cigars, because you have more than just insurance. You have other things you like to talk about. So with that, let me go over to the sponsor sheet. So today's show is brought to you by Rodriguez Cigars. In 1947, the Rodriguez family began the masterful art of cultivating tobacco on their private plantation in the town of Cigar, Cuba. By 1952, their plantation employed over 20 workers and grew over 120,000 pounds of tobacco annually. 8 years later, the Cuban government nationalized the private plantation, and the Rodriguez family was forced to immigrate to the United States. In 1971, the Rodriguez family found a new beginning on the beautiful island of Key West and established the Rodriguez Cigar Factory, which was founded in 1984. It stands as the oldest cigar manufacturer in the Florida Keys, preserving the historical cigar manufacturing industry that began in Key West in 1831. As the years pass, new generations of family members have expanded manufacturing operations in Nicaragua, and they are proud to be working with some of the finest tobacco in the world. Rodriguez cigars are exclusively constructed with vintage leaves that have been hand-selected, aged, and constructed through the traditional Cuban manufacturing process. You can check them out at www.rodriguezcigarskeywest.com, and take it from me, I love that place in Key West. Today's show is also brought to you by Platinum Nova Cigars. Platinum Nova Cigars is a family-owned and operated premium cigar company. Only the highest vintage tobacco and the most skilled hand workmanship go into the making of each Platinum Nova cigar, resulting in a timeless blend of art and craftsmanship. The Nova brand and the family's work are a tribute and an honor to their grandfather to always remember him and his infinite passion for the finest cigars. Their love for cigars started with their grandfather, a dedicated master blender and entrepreneur in the cigar industry. So the next time you're looking for that exquisite cigar experience, pick up a Platinum Nova. You can check them out at www.novacigar.com and on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Today's show is also brought to you by El Chan Cigars. Welcome to a dream come true. Husband and wife Gabby, El Chan, and Liz want all the hands that work the tobacco leaf in their home country of Puerto Rico to have the same opportunity to expose their products. They call it La Joya del Chan because they cultivate part of their product and at some point want to be able to supply the world with their native tobacco leaf. The pride that Gabby and Liz feel is the same pride of all those who work the leaf, and for this, they deserve a portal that represents them. They want to thank everyone for supporting their country. They say we will resist, and you can follow them at www.lajoyadelchan.com and on El Chan Cigars on Instagram and Facebook. Let's not forget the Cigar Clowns. The Cigar Clowns is a Facebook group that invites you to come along the journey with them to find the perfect cigar. If you're lucky enough to get your hands on one of their limited releases, you know what's up. And if you haven't had one, stay tuned to our page. When a run drops, they go quickly. Good conversation, great people, and smoking cigars. So we'd like to welcome all brothers and sisters of the leaf who share the same love as we do for cigars. You can check them out at Cigar Clowns on Facebook. And lastly, Cigar Medics.
Before you light your next cigar, be sure to check out Cigar Medics, the makers of the patent-approved humidimeter. The humidimeter is a tool designed to display the relative humidity inside your cigar. With this device, there's no more guessing. Simply insert the probes into the foot or cap of your cigar, and you can instantly know if your cigar is ready to be smoked. Buy now on cigarmedics.com and see site for other cigar accessories. With the humidimeter, you'll know when to hold them and know when to smoke them.
All right. I thank my sponsors, for without them, the show is always a little harder to do. Let's get back to Dave. So, Dave, besides selling life insurance for cigar smokers, you too are a cigar enthusiast, aficionado. How long have you been smoking cigars yourself?
Gosh, I smoked probably my first cigar when I was in my early 20s. Just kind of stumbled across a lounge while I was out and about on a Friday or Saturday night, and found it to be something that was a really relaxing pastime. Particularly before the meat of the evening got going. My Friday and Saturday nights aren't quite as wild as they were 20 years ago. But that's kind of when I found cigars. As far as being a regular, what I'd call hardcore, daily or better kind of smoker, it's really been the last 7-8 years or so. I live the brand. I mean, you'll find me at Highland Cigar, probably 6 times a week, usually waiting for him to open the door at noon and have a couple of cigars, usually with my buddy Cigar Mike when he's in town, and that's all before the 5 o'clock bell. So now I tell people that my favorite cigar is the one I'm smoking right now. I'm not somebody that geeks out about a particular brand or particular blender. I really enjoy just smoking whatever I can get my hands on, and I love the conversation and fellowship that comes out of smoking cigars in a social setting. So they're definitely a big part of my life.
Hey Dave, Jimmie, let me ask Dave this one question real quick. What is it like to be in the cigar lounge Mecca of America? I don't, and I know I'm not short on words to say that. Atlanta literally has the most cigar lounges per capita in the United States. Jimmy's pretty good with his numbers. Am I right in saying that, Jimmie?
They have the largest for that demographic in Atlanta, in the city. Yes.
What is it like to have a plethora of lounges at your disposal like that? What is that like?
I mean, so first of all, it's all location. My daily spot's a place that's 2 miles from my house. So it's one, that's a blessing, right? Because in a lot of cities, somebody's going to drive 15 miles for that same local spot. But my takeaway from spending a lot of time with lounge owners and just in different lounges is, as a consumer, it's awesome. Don't get me wrong. It is fantastic. But as an operator, it is very, very tough because you got to be perfect. You got to have the right humidor, and that, and right is a subjective term, and that means the consumer is always right. So whatever the consumer thinks that humidor ought to be, it ought to be. You got to be sharp on price for a lot of consumers. You got to have, if you're a liquor establishment, you got to have the right liquor, and then you got to have the right vibe, whatever that is for the individual, whether that's action or whether that's relative solitude and kind of that lounge feel where nobody's going to bother you. Because you know what, if you're not right on all of those points, people are going to go down the street. And so it's a very, very tough place. As great as the culture is, and as great as that density is, it's not easy money for the operator because they got to be perfect. They have less room for error in Atlanta than somewhere that doesn't have, near the number of options for the consumer. So it's a double-edged sword, but I'm blessed. It is fantastic to have so many different options. And I try to get around, try to visit different places, but I do gravitate towards home, easy and convenience, like a lot of us. And, spend a lot of time where, frankly, we got a lot of traffic in Atlanta too. So, you know, I hang out in a place that's relatively convenient to the house for me most of the time.
Any more questions there, Q?
I mean, I get Atlanta's the market that I'm probably most familiar with, considering that it's only about 3 hours down the road from Charlotte. So I could spend a whole bunch of time sitting down and talking with him about, you know, his thoughts and concerns. But he's a very knowledgeable dude. So I just wanted to pick his brain on what that's like. You know, you got
and I'm happy.
Fellowship, all those different places. So, you know, it's kind of a cool experience whenever I go there. So I wanted to pick your brain on that.
I guess the question, Dave, is have you been to all of them yet?
Pretty much all of them. In fact, I've done events in most all of them. You know, I mean, the owners of the Atlanta cigar lounges / shops have been absolutely phenomenal to me. And I do want to give a quick shout out to my host here this evening, MJ Smith at Life and Time Cigars in Lithonia, Georgia, where I'm hanging out this evening. Those guys have been phenomenal to me. Yeah, I've been so well received, and the Cigar Life guy has been so well received by the cigar community and the owners, managers, employees of the cigar lounges in Atlanta. It's been fantastic. I'm blessed.
And you were mentioning before we got on the show that you have some events coming up. So I think you mentioned Houston, but what do you got coming up in the near term?
So in the near term, I've got Charleston, South Carolina. Calvin King Hollywood Jenkins is putting this on. It's running. It's the second weekend in May. I might get my dates wrong, but whatever that second weekend in May is, Thursday through Sunday. Check out Calvin King Hollywood Jenkins on the Facebooks or whatever for more information on that. But I did that last year. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to do Houston Cigar Week, which is the week leading up to Memorial Day weekend and including Memorial Day weekend. And that's, Houston Cigar Week on the social media. I believe their website's actually HoustonCigarWeek.org. Check that out. I did that last year. That was fantastic. I'm also very excited about, for the second year, I'll be throwing a anniversary party. So on June the 25th, here in Atlanta, Georgia, we're going to have the third anniversary party for Cigar Life Guy. We had an incredible time last year at the first one of these that we did. We went from about 2 in the afternoon until after 2 in the morning. I had the legendary Cigar Mike hosting the event, and he's going to be back this year, taking care of that for me again this year. But again, I'd love to have everybody out as my guest on June the 25th in or around Atlanta, Georgia. You know, more details to come on venue and music and all of that kind of stuff as we get closer to the date.
Now, one of the other facets of your website, and I want to go back to that right now, is you like to write too, and you've got a number of cigar lifestyle articles that you have on your site. So if you want to learn about Dominican cigars, you want to learn about 4 reasons your next cigar encounter won't be your best, pairing cigars and chocolate. So you go through quite a bit of knowledge on your site. So how often do you tend to write articles? That some of these are going back to typically we got one a week or one every other week as far as articles or new content on there. And my aim is to be a true lifestyle brand, true cigar lifestyle brand that's much more than just the life insurance. As far as sales, I'm my own advertiser, and I make no bones about this. If you open up an article on Cigar Life Guy, you're going to see that quote form about life insurance on the right-hand side. I don't run ads for Nova or any of those Cigar Clowns or any of those other fine companies that sponsor you
basically my life insurance business is my sponsor, if you will. And, what we want to do is actively participate in this, the cigar community, cigar culture. And that includes providing content on the website. So, we try to have a lot of new content on a regular, weekly, every other week kind of basis. And definitely you go in there, the search function is actually pretty good. Search on just about anything. There's probably an article, and a lot of them rank on the first page of Google, which makes me happy.
And I was going to say, and that's smart business for you, because when people are searching for articles on general cigar knowledge, your site pops up. People see Cigar Life Guy. They may not know that it's an insurance thing. They jump in, they look at your site, and like you said, right away they begin to realize that you can get good insurance rates. So that hopefully it has been effective for you.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with how it's all worked out. I mean, as far as the business goes, and definitely the online component of my business, both, what we'll call Google search, for lack of a better word. And, it's really, people searching for either cigar life insurance or searching for LeBron James cigars or Cam Newton cigars or something like that. Has definitely been effective in driving some clients. And certainly social media as well has played a role in that. More of my business, believe it or not, comes from online people I never meet. I'll work with them via the phone, and then we sign documents electronically. But I got clients out in South Dakota that I've never met. And they found me because of the website. And the events that, Q talked about, and it's great to build relationships with, guys like you, Jimmie, and Q, that's how I met both of you, is at different events. And I love the events, but as far as the business goes, it's definitely more of an online business than an event business.
Yeah.
I'm interested in, when I looked at some of these articles, and I didn't read them yet, but I just noticed the titles. So the one I'm interested in, and maybe you can just give an abridged version of it, is the 4 reasons your next cigar encounter won't be your best.
Yeah, I'm probably going to get a couple of the bullet points or the 4 wrong, but basically a lot of it has to do with external factors. So like one of the four things is the actual stick, right? You open up a box of sticks and you can have a bad one. It's a natural product, handmade natural product. Just like a bottle of wine. You get a bad stick, right? But the rest, a lot of it has to do with mindset and what else you're doing while you're smoking. I'll give you a great example. I'm not doing this cigar justice that I'm smoking on right now. I want to go back and smoke this again when I'm not talking to you guys. But frankly, I've been, so engaged with you guys that I probably haven't done justice to this cigar. I would have a much better experience smoking this cigar if I was, in a club chair by myself, where I could concentrate on the cigar. Another bullet point in there would be something like, being outdoors or driving, but has to do with your environment. But that's kind of the path that the article goes down. Most of the reasons are not related to the actual product, but have to do with other things that you're doing that distract you from the cigar experience.
Sure. And
makes sense?
Makes a lot of sense. If you're smoking cigars in the cold or the hot, humid weather, they don't smoke right.
No, I tell you, we talk about these events. I mean, gosh, I was down in Miami between Black Smoke Miami and Great Smoke. I was down there for like 13 days. I smoked more cigars in 13 days than I think I've ever smoked in 13 days in my life. But, I'd get up and I'd have a couple smoked cigars in late morning, early afternoon, just because that's what I do. By the time I'm doing these events that wind down around midnight or whatever, sometimes I was probably on my 7th, 8th, 9th cigar. At some point, that cigar, as much as I love cigars, it becomes nothing more than a prop. I wasn't smoking my best stuff at 10 o'clock at night at Black Smoke Miami. it was just basically something to, at that point, something to puff on because, gosh, you're at a cigar event and that's what you're supposed to do. That's kind of life, fun times, but as far as actually enjoying that cigar for that cigar, gosh, distraction, makes it really tough.
I'm glad you bring that up, Dave, because that is actually something that I hear a lot of the times in social media rooms, different things like that. Lord knows I'm part of probably about 60 different cigar groups on Facebook, and you just see a lot of the banter back and forth between, flavored cigars and this cigar and that cigar. And something that I make it a habit of, and something that you brought up, is to not smoke something new when I'm out and around a whole bunch of other smokers and taking in everybody else's smoke. I tend to smoke something sweet because I know I can pick up on those sweeter notes versus picking up something for the first time and not really being able to enjoy it because my palate is diluted with 30 other cigar smokers. So I'm glad you bring that up. That's an awesome point.
Yeah, so I'm no Boston Jimmie where people, where like mail call involves these companies sending me like multiple boxes of cigars every week just to sample. But I am relatively blessed in that many folks think it'd be a good idea for me to sample their cigar, and usually they hit me up with these things that, in person and hand me a handful of them or hand me one or whatever, and then want me to immediately fire it up. And I got to explain to them, like, no, that's not what you want. First of all, I've already had 6 cigars today. And unless this thing is like a real ass kicker, I'm not going to taste it right now. And the other thing is, I'm all over the place right now. Let me put this aside and let me smoke this later in the week when I have some private time. And I can really, in my own mind, decide if it's something that I enjoy or it's not so good. Whatever. But, you don't want to be taking on something new at a trade show or, at a large event when somebody hands you a cigar. I mean, that's not the best time to sample something new.
Absolutely right. And I lived through that myself too. But with that said, and it's an interesting segue to this question. How large is your cigar collection now?
It floats, I would say right now, not 1,000, but pushing 1,000, probably floats between 500 and 1,500, just depending on, what I've bought and what I've smoked, but, and I'm not a collector in the sense that like, I'm putting these aside for 10 years, or I really want to hold on to this and wait for a special occasion or something like that. A lot of it is, I was able to get these and I got a good deal on them, or was able to acquire them and just throw them. When I say throw them away, I don't mean like throw them in the garbage, but throw them away for storage and smoke through them. And then sometimes I'll go through a period, particularly like if I'm traveling or whatever, where I won't get a chance to order a lot of cigars or purchase a lot of cigars. And might get depleted, and I give away a ton of cigars, that might be when we run closer to the 400 or 500, whatever. But I float around 1,000 plus minus.
And when did it get there? So I like with me, I started seriousness back in the late 80s, early 90s, and I got a humidor for Christmas from my wife, and it held maybe 50 cigars, and it was never full. And then as time went on, I found out I needed another desktop humidor, and then another one, and then I bought a cabinet, and then I got another. So how did your scale go?
All right, so we're going to give a plug to a huge company that didn't sponsor you, but when I found CigarMonster.com from the folks at Cigar, Famous Smoke, whatever. And trust me, I get no discount from them whatsoever, but I just, straight up, it's incredible. When I found them, that's when I started going from, 50 to 150 cigars to oh my gosh, I'm sitting on 1,000 and didn't really plan to have 1,000 cigars. But yeah, that's and that was 3, 4, 5 years ago, whatever. And again, that's not a paid shill. I've never gotten anything from them other than, whatever I pay, through their site, the regular prices. But, yeah, I mean, and that's part of it. I mean, we're being real here, right? If I'm smoking 5+ cigars a day, I ain't paying $15 or $20 for all of these things, right? So most of the cigars that I purchase, particularly when I'm not going to be smoking them on premises at a place that I'm not a member of, are purchased online. And, and it's just economics. And, I mean, I love our bricks and mortars and definitely I support brick and mortar more than the next guy. But frankly, online, it's, you get the deals and, you're like, well, why not buy 10 boxes of that, and so 10 boxes show up at the house 3 days later, and that's kind of how it happens. And then you start losing track of, gosh, exactly how much you got. So, by the way, just as an aside, I've never sold a cigar. I have no aspirations of owning a brand or selling a cigar or opening a lounge, opening a cigar shop, whatever. I'm a cigar smoker just like the rest of folks. I am not in the cigar. I make my living from the cigar consumer. I am not a cigar salesman.
Right. Exactly. Now,
I can tell you what I think,
So brick and mortar, another good segue to a question, not a question, but a statement. So you brought up earlier about the latest report that came out, 532 pages, very detailed, all about cigars, cigar carcinogen contents, and everything you could possibly imagine about cigars as part of the overall regulatory process. So now they have a lot of data. And there's a lot of data on both sides. There's data for, data against in that report. And I read that report. I got to read it again. But one of the things that stood out in that report, which I found very interesting, they had a list of all the states in the United States and the number of cigar lounges in each state. What state do you think has the largest percentage of lounges per 100,000 capita?
What you got to define lounge? Is that basically
shop, lounge, and brick and mortars?
I got to think it's Florida.
Nope.
Florida's
number 2.
I love Atlanta.
Florida is number 2.
I mean, spoiler, is it Georgia spoiler alert or is it something else? I don't know.
Are you ready for this? Delaware.
Makes sense.
Delaware has more cigar shops
per capita.
Right,
yeah,
100,000 than any other, and it eclipses Florida, which is number 2, and then Texas.
Yeah. See, I was, Florida, it's just so ingrained in the culture and just driving around in Florida, they're literally on every corner. It's a different lounge dynamic than, we talked about Atlanta earlier, where there's a much more social aspect to it. But as far as like grab and go, like Florida is like just, truly crazy. Like, pretty much every strip mall or, corner in a big city, you got a cigar shop.
And what state do you think has 0 lounges, 0 shops?
I'm gonna guess like Montana.
Close. North Dakota.
Dakota, yeah.
Not South Dakota. North Dakota.
Yeah.
And also, and I don't know if this was so accurate, but I think it said West Virginia. Which is weird because I thought there was a shop in West Virginia, but no. But anyway, that it's a good report. If anybody hasn't read it, you got to go check it out. You got to search for it. You can look at any of the stuff from Carlito. He's been talking about it. So you can, there's a link there that they put up. You can download the PDF and read it. I want to take a short break. I think Quinton has about 5 minutes before he has a hard stop, but I'm going to go quick into what's new in news and reviews on Stogie Press. And then when we come back, we'll do some lightning round questions, learn a little more about Dave, the Cigar Life guy. So this week in Stogie Press, I got through 2 reviews. I was kind of burned out from the Great Smoke, believe it or not, to review cigars. But the first one was the new Aganorsa Salif Guardian of Farm. So this came in at an 89. And I mean, the cigar itself was flavorful. Had some black pepper. I got cashew notes out of it. I got cocoa and cream and fruit, natural sweetness, the spice and vanilla. It was a really, really nice tasting aromatic cigar. But the problem that I had with this cigar was the burn. Flaky ash. It had an off-scented burn cone. It had a run in the burn. It was just giving me a headache all the way through the burn. And they lost a lot of points because of that. So with that, this one came in at an 89. The second one I just put out today, small company. I almost describe this as micro boutique if you want to give a name for this type of a company. This is Seraphin de Cuba. You've heard me talk about these in the past. Seraphin de Cuba is based over in Tarpon Springs, Florida. These cigars are all handmade right there in Tarpon Springs in his small shop. He's on a journey to bring back all the defunct front marks of the Tampa cigar business from back in the early late 19th century, early 20th century. Okay. This particular one goes back to Vicente Ebor's original brand, Ebor being the founder of Ybor City, goes back to that original brand called the El Príncipe de Gales, which is the Prince of Wales. And this cigar was spectacular. Okay, this is a cigar that I would recommend to anybody. It's an excellent morning cigar. All right, it is mild to medium strength, but it has flavors and nuances that just run through this thing. It just has such a balanced set of flavors. The transitions are beautiful as they go through. The burn, only thing had a little wavy burn. That's the only nick it got on the burn. Nice ash coming in, nice burn cone coming down. But you're getting some pepper in the beginning, some salty butter, some fruit, nut, and woodiness, and it had this sweet cinnamon aroma. I mean, it can go on and on and on with this cigar. This $10 cigar, you can't go wrong with this. If you're looking at where to get them, you can call their shop. You get them directly from Seraphin de Cuba. I got the phone number in there. You're gonna absolutely love this cigar. I've given some of these to different friends here that I've run into, and they said the exact same thing. So if you're looking for something really good, and if you're a new cigar smoker and you're trying to develop your palate, this is one of the cigars that will do it for you, because it's not going to punch you in the face with strength. Okay, it's going to give you nuanced flavors all the way through. Let your mind think about what you're tasting. They're not stepping on each other. They're just coming through as you're burning it down. So check this one out if you have a chance. News, we had an interesting news week. We'll just kick it off. Cigars International has announced they are no longer doing their Mega Herf Cigar Fest. What they've done is they've decided to go regional. Pennsylvania, Florida, and Texas, those are going to be at their Cigar International shops in those states. They're going to be like 5-week-long events. It's open to the public. There's no ticket required. I don't know how it's all going to work. They haven't put out all the details on it, but they're giving an opportunity for people to really experience Cigar Fest in a different way. So they're changing their format. They made that announcement just this week. Cohiba announced that they've expanded their Series M with a new Vitola. So you can check that out. There was a lot of news the other week about Jossum Crowell. So Jossum Crowell came out, and I'll open this up. So Jossum Crowell came out with a cigar called Munchies. It is a infused cigar. He's not saying it's not, but it's going to give you the flavors of like a Rocky Road ice cream with the nut, the chocolate, and the marshmallow and all of that. It got slammed hard, okay, by promoting all of this flavored stuff and making it look like children will buy it. Half Wheel did a complete editorial on this, and he had since responded to his followers through his legal counsel explaining exactly what they're doing. So you want to read a little more on that. Sometimes the cigar industry can have a little drama in it. This continues that drama, but you can actually see what they're saying. Bottom line is, if you're in a shop, you're not selling cigars to underage kids, okay? If you do, you're probably going to get shut down because there are laws that stop it. They self-regulate to make sure nobody's coming in there that's underage. So if you like flavored cigars, you could buy flavored cigars. If you don't like flavored cigars, you don't buy flavored cigars. I just leave it at that. But you can read the article. You can also read Half Wheel's editorial here. I have a link to it so you can see the two different sides of that argument. So it's it's got a lot of traction over this past week. Blackwork Studio has released their Tiger cigar. This is an interesting looking cigar. Again, they come out with a real craft art to it. So you can check it out. They come in 3 different blends. There's a Neon Tiger, a Con, and a Tiger Lily. So while everybody else is coming out with the Year of the Tiger, they decided to just call it the Tiger, and they have 3 different Tiger brands out there. These cigars are going to run you $18 a piece. And I think that was it. I think that's the news. Did I miss one? No, I guess not. Okay. So oh yeah. No, I think that was it. Let me just double check here. I thought there was one more news article. Why does it pop up here? Oh, I forgot. Anyway, so that's the news. We didn't have any show last week, so there's no new show out there on the YouTube channel. So with that, we'll come back to Dave. So, Q, you getting ready to leave?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to make sure I said thank you to Dave. Appreciate your time. Look forward to seeing
thank
you in
you,
Houston,
Q.
brother.
Absolutely.
Austin, Jimmy, it's a pleasure as always. Thanks for allowing me to co-host the show with you. I definitely appreciate the opportunity, and definitely appreciate the wealth of knowledge that you drop in my bucket every week. So I definitely appreciate that. With all that being said, I'm signing out.
All right, thanks, Q.
Thanks a lot, boss.
So, and Jimmy, you already touched on it, but I mean, I think the really big news this week was that report that came out that the FDA had commissioned. I mean, that, as far as just what people are talking about, and it was Thursday or Friday that people started digesting it, but that's the big news, and probably the big news for the next week or so, if you ask me. But and we don't need to beat it up, anymore. I mean, I think we did a pretty good little summary of that, which is a lot of data, but not a lot actionable coming out of it, and I think that's where people are at.
There's a lot of data, and like I said, I skimmed through all the pages. I have to go back and probably not print it out, but bring it into my PDF highlighter and start highlighting some special notes. But I mean, they brought up the fact that they recognize that this is not something that's being sold minors. That is recognized in their study. They also included in there that it has the same carcinogens as in cigarette, tobacco, and other things. So they're not going to say that it's not bad for you. It can be, but they do recognize that the average cigar smoker is not smoking 3-4 cigars a day. Okay, we are an exception to that rule. Okay, because we're kind of in the business as opposed to out, being just a consumer.
Yeah.
A lot of guys go out on a night, on a Thursday night or a Friday night with their friends, and they go to a cigar shop, they smoke a cigar, and that's their experience of their cigars. They have it at their barbecue in the summer, a special event. So that's the more average cigar smokers, and they recognize that, and that I think is good. That's positive for the cigar industry side to at least have somebody acknowledge that in a very detailed study. They do talk about flavored cigars, and again, that's another area that is going to be a debatable topic as it goes on from a regulation perspective. But we got more. There's more work to do, and I'm glad there's a report, because now it's in depth, and I think that's going to hold its own legal standing as far as both sides of the argument to pick points out of it to play to their argument.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway from the whole thing, and we probably knew this before they did the study, but that's why they spent a whole lot of money to do this academic study, was to tell us what I'm going to tell you, which is the reality of this. And this is not a negative or a positive for answering the question, but my big takeaway is there is no data on long-term health risks, or whatever you want to call it, for premium cigar smokers, period. That data just doesn't exist. And it's not data that can be, no matter how much money you throw at it, because these things take time to do. I mean, it's a long-term study. That data does not exist and cannot easily be created for them to do something actionable from a regulatory standpoint. And that, for me, that was the biggest takeaway out of the whole thing is, hey, they kind of put their hands up after 530 some pages and say, we don't have the data we're really looking for so that we can address this. One man's take.
So the other news this week, non-cigar related, but baseball's back.
Yes, it is.
I'm quite excited that season starts April 7th. They're going to have 162 games. They're going to get rid of the 7-inning doubleheaders. And so that's all good. And DH going to both the National and the American League now, which is going to piss off the National League fans, but they'll get over it.
Advertising on the uniforms, right?
I didn't see that. Did they say advertising on?
Yeah, I heard this on the radio last night, and it's got the purists fired up. I mean, can you imagine? Merrill Lynch on the Yankee pinstripes or something like that, but they're going to be like they're going to be in the like NASCAR. They're going to have logos on there. I don't know if Stogie Press or Cigar Life Guy can afford to sponsor a team, but call the Red Sox. Maybe you can get a deal.
Yeah, maybe I'll just call up Big Poppy and say, cut me in there, man. People. So yeah, that's exciting. So I'm excited to see the baseball season start. I'd be in a funk for the whole rest of the year if it wasn't. So that's good.
Got March Madness coming up. We got the conference tournaments this weekend and selection show tomorrow, and I'll be at a lounge somewhere near me on Thursday afternoon and Friday afternoon next week, watching the first and second round games, or whatever they call them now with the play-in games. So that'll be fun for the next month.
What are you streaming these days, Dave? You got time to sit down and watch any cool shows?
Man, I am not as far as like programmatic TV, I have really fallen off in the last number of years. And I guess I read more books now. I'm reading a lot of stuff on the Kindle, you know what I'm streaming right now is, and it's a very slow process, and I've watched most of it already, but I'm going back and watching Mad Men again, from start to finish, and it goes in like 45-minute increments while I'm doing the elliptical in the morning, so I catch about one program a day. But I've actually, over the last couple of years, dusted off a lot of classics where I'm watching them for the second or third time around. Did that with The Sopranos. I'm a huge Dallas fan, good old JR, watched the whole, Dallas series again, years later. The original one, not the one with the kids, but the original one, so right now, I guess I'm streaming Mad Men, even though it's not new, and I can probably drop all kinds of spoilers and nobody will be pissed, right? But
yeah, right.
I'm boring on that, man. I'm boring on the TV.
So, what is your? I know you're drinking Coke Zero, but what's your beverage of choice if you go to a spirit?
I'm not a spirit guy. I haven't had any spirits, and gosh, it's been over 10 years. So we're spirit free. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. I'm getting close to that. I have, like I said, I have a little bit of wine now, but there is no spirits left in the bar. I just found that I have more energy now. Just cut it all back and exercise and diet.
Yeah, when I stopped drinking, really cigars played a much bigger role in my life at that point. It was something where, frankly, most of my adult life until I stopped drinking was about bars. It's where I met women. It's where I socialized, what have you. And at least back then, you could still smoke a cigar in a bar that didn't have to be a cigar bar. Me stopping drinking actually increased my cigar consumption quite a bit because it was something to do in the bar when you were still hanging out with, going spirit free.
By the way, I just remembered the news article. I don't know why it didn't show up on my page. Maybe I forgot to put the tag in, so I'll go fix that. But for those that don't know, Ricky Rodriguez, the CAO blender and ambassador for CAO for quite a number of years, has now announced his retirement from STG and effective in April. So Ricky's stepping down. Don't know what he's going to do going forward, but he is no longer going to be associated with CAO. So like over 20 years with them.
And I'm only reading the similar stuff, the same announcements you read, but also some comments that Rick has posted. Retirement's the technical term for it. But I mean, he's obviously, he's slyly acknowledged he's still going to be active in the cigar business. It's not like he's retiring to some remote island and we're never going to see Rick again. And I'm not sharing anything that he hasn't said or hinted at, himself in public posting. So, I mean, I think that's the technical term for the amount of service that he had with that company is, they're calling it a retirement. He's moving on to other opportunities. If you look at the remarks he's made publicly on social media.
Yep, I agree. Okay, we've come beyond the hour, and this has been.
Oh man, thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun, Jimmie, and Q, who had to depart early for reasons unknown, but we'll let him go.
I had a date. Okay.
Hey, I'm sure it's pretty easy to find better company than you and me, right?
Right.
So, I don't blame the guy.
So everybody, those that are still watching, I appreciate you coming. Don't forget, if you do want to check out some great insurance rates, life insurance rates, go to cigarlifeguy.com, cigarlifeguy.com. And the short story is we get you non-tobacco rates no matter how much you smoke, which saves you about 70%. And you can be honest about the cigar use. That was the whole show right there, as far as me plugging my business. That 30 seconds, it's real. That part is really, really easy. So it's been a pleasure. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank our sponsors. Without them, it's always a little harder to do. And Hey man, we're gonna have a great week coming up.
Thank you for having me, Jimmie. You know, you do so much for the cigar community. I mean, frankly, I'm humbled that you asked me to be on the show, and sincerely appreciate you sharing this time with me. So thank you, Jimmie, and you know, it's been my pleasure.
All right, so that's it. This is Boss and Jimmie out. Stogie Press. Peace.